Well, that's where it's funky because of these people are saying no. That's not
Yeah,
mental illness. That's
they can
just
say no.
that's my truth or whatever.
Yeah. But see, that's the problem with this whole postmodern. This is what I study in school, which is kind of really turned me off, really, at the end of my studies. But during art school, that's what we study, right? All about postmodernism, which is the idea that basically, to kind of boil down to just the idea that essentially your truth, my truth, everything, it's it's almost like it's like the wild wild west. The idea that everything is fine, everything can be true. Like you're saying that
Yeah,
only
it's
because that's from your perspective. So that's what they're arguing, right? So
but
there's
they're
no,
essentially then denying the existence of objective reality.
yes, that's basically what it is, right? And you see how problematic this is, because in an academic sense, from a sort of whether that's art from the field of art or the dialogue in philosophy, this just creates general confusion, because then people are like, oh, okay, I can just my truth is the truth, and okay, whatever I believe is the truth as well. So I don't agree with you, but hey, I'm real, you're not. So it's kind of given this sort of credence almost to these ridiculous ideas that people have. So they use this. Some people use this kind of philosophy as a sort of license, like a blank check to just be like, yep, I can just do whatever that I like, just because, yep, I agree with this sentiment that my truth is the truth and you're just fake or whatever, right?
Yeah, it kind of it reminds me of what we talked about the last podcast because in the last podcast the Squanch Master character was essentially what
Okay, what's the name of this one? What's the name of
oh
this one?
I'm Dr. Pointless.
Okay,
But yeah, the Squanch Master was essentially kind of representing that whole point of view that you can just live in your subjective reality if you want. As like if you because yeah, if you just say I don't care about the external world and external reality and everything else, technically it is a choice. So you could, from your own perspective, from a perspective of an individual, you can just say that yeah, these are the rules of my subjective reality. But it's inevitable that you will clash with the objective reality, which is the consensus reality, which means like when
yeah.
you and I, we don't know exactly what you experience and I experience. So we can't compare it exactly. But surely if we're pointing to a color and we both agree that we call it red, that's enough. But then that's how we use words to describe this common reality. So when we start using these words completely differently now that they are mean something else essentially when you say like oh I consider myself a woman, what do you mean? That's not how we use words. You don't consider yourself to be anything. You either are something or you're not. The book is either of red color or it's of green color, right? There's some kind of error happening. So consensus reality is that means that the majority people, how they use words and everything essentially wins. If you start introducing all these fringe ideas of how, or I have my own rules, I have my own prepositions and verbs and nouns, okay, but then you live in your own world, or you find folks who would like to role play with you in that reality, but that's just all fun and games. Like, what do you propose we do for life, for like workplace and general communication? Like, if everybody starts inventing their ways of using language, it's just like a
Yeah.
hobby club. Maybe you can do that, like some little fantasy worlds. But to go out into the real world and like, I'm a Pokemon, you get locked up for this 20 years ago.